Hey everyone, welcome back to the Native English Podcast, brought to you by Native English Stories, your cozy little studio for improving your English and building real confidence through natural conversations. I'm Sarah.
And I'm John. Hey Sarah, I'm feeling incredibly energized today, and honestly, I'm a little fired up about what we're diving into. How are things with you?
I'm doing so well, thanks for asking. You know, I had a really interesting moment yesterday. I was just sitting quietly with my coffee and a thought popped into my head. Why does it seem like some people completely turn their lives around, while others just stay stuck in the exact same spot year after year?
Oh wow, I've had that exact same thought so many times. You watch someone go from really struggling to genuinely thriving, and you can't help but wonder, what's their secret? Is it just luck? Did something magical happen to them? Or are they actually doing something specific and intentional that the rest of us are missing?
Exactly. And then I started thinking about my own journey learning English. At the very beginning, it honestly felt impossible. There were so many words, so many confusing grammar rules, and way too many exceptions to every single rule. But then, slowly, little by little, things started clicking into place and making real sense.
That is so true and so relatable. When I first started learning, I kept telling myself if I just memorized enough vocabulary, I would become fluent. But I quickly discovered it was never just about vocabulary. It was about building consistent daily habits, shifting my entire mindset, and actually getting out there and using what I had learned in real conversations.
And that is the moment it really hit me. Life works exactly the same way. Big, meaningful transformations do not happen overnight. It is never about one single huge dramatic decision. It's about the small intentional changes we choose to make every single day.
And that is precisely what we're exploring today, how to genuinely change your life in practical, realistic, and sustainable ways. Not the overnight miracle stuff you see on social media reels. The real thing.
Yes, not the 45-second transformation montage with the dramatic music. The actual, real human process. And we're also going to be introducing some really useful intermediate level vocabulary throughout today's episode. So keep your ears open for those.
Absolutely. So, Sarah, thinking about everything we just said about how life changes little by little, it makes me wonder why so many people genuinely struggle to even begin making those changes. Like, what is actually getting in the way?
That's such an important question, and honestly, such a common experience. Change sounds exciting on the surface, right? A fresh start, a clean slate, a new chapter beginning. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never actually follow through and make those changes. And the reason is simply this. Change is genuinely hard.
So let's talk about the real common reasons people feel stuck, because I think naming them out loud is actually really powerful.
Yes, so the first big one is fear of failure. So many people ask themselves, what if I try and it doesn't work out? What if I embarrass myself? But here's the flip side of that question. What if you try and it actually works? Every single successful person you admire has failed along the way, often many, many times. The difference is they chose to keep going anyway.
That is so true. And the second reason is lack of direction. Some people genuinely know they want a better life, a better career, better English, better health, whatever it is, but they have absolutely no idea where to start. So they convince themselves they need a perfect detailed plan before they can take even one single step forward.
And that waiting for the perfect plan trap leads perfectly into the third reason, which is negative self-talk. Things like, I'll never be good at this, or I'm just not a language person, or I'm too old to change now. Those internal thoughts are incredibly powerful, and they stop progress completely before it even gets a chance to begin.
And then there's arguably the biggest trap of all, waiting for motivation. People say things like, I'll start when I'm ready, or I'll begin on Monday, or I'll start fresh in January. But here's something really important that most people don't realize. Motivation doesn't actually come before action. It comes after.
Oh, that's such a crucial point, and I think it genuinely surprises people when they hear it for the first time.
It does. That reminds me of something I went through personally.
I kept waiting for the perfect moment to start a project I'd been putting off for almost a year. I told myself I needed more time, more resources, more confidence, but that perfect moment simply never arrived until I finally just took the first small step forward.
And once you took that step, what happened?
Everything started shifting. Momentum built, ideas came, confidence followed. It was remarkable how quickly things changed once I just began.
That's such a powerful real example, and I remember feeling exactly the same way when I was learning English. I kept thinking, I'm not good enough yet to actually use this language with real people. But then I realized the only actual way to get better was to start practicing imperfectly in the real world.
Exactly. And that brings us to our core lesson from this section. Understanding what's genuinely holding you back is the very first step towards changing your life. Once you can clearly name and recognize those specific barriers, you can start actively working to break them down one by one.
So now that we understand what tends to hold people back, the next real question is, how do we actually start making changes that stick? That's where small, daily, consistent improvements become so incredibly powerful.
Yes, people so often believe they need some kind of dramatic overnight transformation, but real lasting change happens gradually and quietly through tiny daily actions.
Have you heard of the 1% rule? It's honestly one of my favorite ideas.
Yes, the concept is beautifully simple. If you improve by just 1% every single day, by the end of a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That's because small efforts genuinely compound over time, just like interest building in a savings account.
Wow, and that connects directly to the power of habits. James Clear explores this idea deeply in his book Atomic Habits. The core idea is that habits don't just change what you do, they gradually reshape and redefine who you actually are over time.
Right, and the habits themselves don't have to be big or impressive. Something like reading for just 10 minutes every morning before you check your phone, practicing English for 5 focused minutes before bed, replacing one negative thought with a deliberate positive one. These tiny things feel almost too small to matter, but they add up to something enormous.
I love real-life examples of this. I know someone personally who became genuinely conversational in English by simply listening to podcasts during their daily commute and while doing household chores. They never had an intense, structured study plan, just consistent, small daily exposure.
That's inspiring and so achievable for anyone listening right now. The core takeaway here is that small, consistent actions lead to big, meaningful results over time. So if you're listening and wondering where on earth to start, just pick one tiny habit today and begin.
Just one, that's all. And you know, John, while taking action is clearly important, there's actually something even more foundational underneath all of it, our mindset. Because honestly, how we think and what we believe about ourselves makes an enormous difference to everything else.
Absolutely, and this is where the concept of growth mindset versus fixed mindset becomes really relevant and practical. If you have a growth mindset, you genuinely believe, I can learn this, I can improve, I can figure this out. But if you have a fixed mindset, you default to thoughts like, I'm just not good at this, I was never a language person, some people have it and I simply don't.
And that difference in thinking creates completely different outcomes in real life. And there's actually a fascinating piece of science behind this. Have you heard of the reticular activating system?
Yes, it's such a mind-bending concept. Basically, it explains why when you first learn a new English word, you suddenly start hearing and seeing it absolutely everywhere. Your brain isn't encountering it more often, it's simply now tuned in to notice it.
Exactly. Your brain constantly filters the enormous amount of information it receives based on what you tell it to focus on and look for. So if you repeatedly tell yourself, I can't do this, your brain will helpfully find evidence all around you to prove that belief correct.
But if you consistently say, I'm improving every single day, your brain starts spotting and collecting evidence of that progress instead. It genuinely works whichever direction you train it.
That's why deliberately reprogramming your mindset is so powerful. And 3 really practical ways to do that are affirmations, visualization, and gratitude practice.
Right. Positive self-talk, like telling yourself, I'm getting better at this every day, genuinely helps reshape your habitual thinking over time. It feels awkward and a little silly at first, but the research behind it is very real.
Visualization is another brilliant tool. Athletes at the very highest levels use it constantly. You picture yourself succeeding in vivid detail, and your brain begins to treat that imagined experience as evidence that success is genuinely possible for you.
And gratitude practice is something that's become really popular recently, and for very good reason. When you make a daily habit of focusing on what's already going well in your life, you actually train your brain to see opportunities and possibilities rather than obstacles and problems everywhere you look.
It's not magic or wishing thinking. It's practical brain training. You're literally teaching your mind to work for you rather than against you. And in a world where we're constantly bombarded with negative news and social media content designed to trigger anxiety, this kind of intentional mental training matters more than ever.
So true. Now, Sarah, there's something else we really need to talk about because it holds so many people back even after they understand mindset. It's this persistent belief that you need to wait for the perfect moment before you begin.
Oh yes, this one is everywhere. So many people genuinely believe they need to be completely ready, completely confident, completely prepared before they can take any action at all.
But here's the honest truth. You will never feel fully ready. That feeling of readiness does not arrive first and then allow you to begin. It develops through the process of actually beginning.
That is so important. Progress actually creates confidence, not the other way around. When I was learning English, I hesitated for a long time before I started actually speaking with real people. I kept thinking, what if I make mistakes? What if someone cannot understand me? What if I look foolish?
And what actually happened when you finally did start speaking?
I made plenty of mistakes, but every single conversation, every error, every awkward moment built my confidence in a way that no amount of studying alone ever could. I was not perfect, but I was genuinely improving, and people could feel that energy.
And that connects to a concept I think about a lot. Done is better than perfect. In our current world where everything gets shared and judged online, it is so tempting to polish and refine endlessly before putting anything out there. But imperfect action taken today is always more valuable than a perfect plan that never gets started.
Always, whether it's learning English, starting a fitness routine, launching a creative project, beginning a new career path, or simply reaching out to reconnect with someone important to you. Just begin. Start imperfectly and improve as you go.
So here's a practical challenge for everyone listening right now. Think of one specific thing you've been postponing. It might be practicing your spoken English, starting a journal, joining a gym, taking an online course, or sending that message to someone you've been meaning to reach out to.
And then take one small step toward that thing today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when the timing feels better. Today. Because action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence, and confidence creates more action. It's a beautiful upward cycle.
Exactly. Small, consistent actions build into genuinely massive change over time. So don't wait for some ideal, perfect moment that may never come. Make today the day you actually start.
And speaking of the conditions that help us take action and keep going, have you noticed how much our environment and the people around us shape our habits and decisions in ways we often don't even realize?
Completely. It's not just about your individual willpower or discipline. It's fundamentally about who and what you choose to surround yourself with every single day.
And equally important is being thoughtful about reducing exposure to things that drain you. That might mean spending less time with people who consistently discourage you, or it might mean being more intentional about how much negative news and mindless social media scrolling you consume every day.
That reminds me of a turning point in my own English learning journey. I felt genuinely stuck for a long time until I found an online community of other learners. Suddenly, I had real people to practice with, to share my frustrations with, and to celebrate small wins alongside. That sense of shared progress changed everything.
What a perfect example. The right environment creates the right conditions for growth. It makes the whole process feel less lonely and more sustainable long term.
So here's something really worth reflecting on. Think about the 5 people you spend the most time with right now, whether in person or online. Are they genuinely helping you grow? Are they encouraging you, challenging you, believing in you? Or are they subtly holding you back?
If the honest answer is the latter, it might be time to make some thoughtful adjustments. That doesn't mean cutting people off dramatically. It might just mean intentionally adding more positive and growth-oriented voices and communities to your daily life.
So if we had to leave our listeners with just one essential takeaway from everything we've covered in today's episode, what would yours be, Sarah?
Mine would be this: you genuinely have far more control over the direction of your life than you probably believe right now. Small, consistent daily changes, an intentional growth mindset, and a supportive environment can, together, completely transform where you end up.
And mine would be that progress never happens overnight, but every single small step you take today gets you meaningfully closer to the life you actually want. So don't underestimate those small wins. They matter more than you know.
Beautifully said. And we would absolutely love to hear from you. What's one tiny change you're committing to making starting today? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one, and it genuinely makes our day.
Also, check out the pinned comment below. We've left a little reflection exercise there to help you kickstart that one small change.
And if today's episode gave you something useful, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave us a review if you can, because it helps so many more people find this community.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today, everyone. We'll see you very soon for the next episode of the Native English Podcast.
Keep going. You're honestly doing better than you think.
Take good care of yourselves. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.